Previously, after Jinwoo's father disappeared into the air, leaving Jinwoo standing alone, we then see a drone flying over the city as someone reports that Hunter Thomas Andre is not in a life-threatening condition, and ambulances are on the scene transporting the injured to local hospitals. Things were starting to settle down for the time being. We see Chairman Wu Jincheo looking at the destruction caused by the battle between the monarchs, thinking about the Beast Monarch, the Frost Monarch, and the Plague Monarch. They were not ordinary monsters. He remembers what Jinwoo told him at Chairman Go Gun-hee's funeral, that he would personally take down those responsible. Remembering that, tears start to fall from his eyes, thinking this was the Frost Monarch, and he thanks Jinwoo for avenging the death of their former chairman. Meanwhile, the Hunters Association announced that the beasts were unidentifiable. The extent of the damage they left behind was staggering. However, in just a few days' time, disaster would strike again. A few days later, hunters from all around the world gathered beneath the gigantic gate still looming in the sky. China's seven-star hunter, Liu Zhigang, was also present among the crowd. He comments that the gate is truly massive, just as he had heard. Even if all the hunters in the world gathered, they could just be sucked up into that gate and vanish. Thomas Andre had also recovered and was telling the hunters that it would start soon. Chairman Wu was thinking, this is the first time so many hunters from all around the world have gathered in one place. He wondered how many of them would survive. Meanwhile, Jinwoo was looking at the gate, waiting for it to break. Cha Haiyan approaches him, telling him she's never seen him this nervous before. As everyone was tense, the gate finally began to crack, and the hunters prepared for battle against the monsters about to emerge. As the army started to appear from the gate, Jinwoo was shocked. What he saw was not monsters, but shadow soldiers emerging. Slowly, the armies began to enter this world. Seeing the soldiers getting closer, the hunters prepared to fight, but a voice told them all to stop. The hunters began to wonder why they were halting. Chairman Wu asked Jinwoo what he was doing, and Jinwoo calmly told him, "It's all right, Chairman." The hunters stood frozen as the shadow soldiers descended to earth, stopping in front of Jinwoo. The sky was filled with shadow soldiers as far as the eye could see. The commander of the army stood before Jinwoo, and suddenly a loud thud echoed across the battlefield as the hunters saw a massive shadow soldier kneel before Jinwoo, introducing himself as Grand Marshal Bellion. Gradually, all the soldiers, including the dragons, began kneeling before Jinwoo. Bellion respectfully greeted Jinwoo, calling him their liege. Meanwhile, all the hunters behind Jinwoo were stunned by what was unfolding before their eyes. Thomas Andre asked Leonard Neumann if he could see those creatures clearly. Looking at the dragons, Thomas thought, even one of them could pose a serious threat to humanity, yet there were 3 dragons gathered in one place. Jinwoo realized this was the true Shadow Army. This must have been the force left behind by the previous Shadow Monarch, Ashborn, for him. And seeing all of this, Jinwoo thought, now the real war begins. A few days later, at the Korean Hunters Association, Chairman Go Gun-hee's successor, Wu Jin-chol, along with some other officials, was sitting in a conference room discussing their next move, as the foreign press was requesting them to release an official explanation of what had happened. The American Hunter Bureau was also asking them to reveal Hunter Sung Jinwoo's location. Hearing all the reports, Wu thought, hundreds of thousands of demonic beasts came out of the colossal gate, and they've all been absorbed into Hunter Sung Jinwoo's army. Who would have ever thought things would turn out this way? He told the men, I am well aware of how confused everyone is due to Hunter Sung Jinwoo's disappearance. But this isn't the first time he has vanished like this. He instructed them, we need to start getting used to it. If we, as the Hunters Association, can't understand the burdens Hunter Sung Jinwoo carries, then who could? The scene then shifted to another place where signs of battle were visible. We see Jinwoo standing on Tusk's hand as he looks down at his armies, who were about to collide. As he observed, Grand Marshal Bellion commented, holding a practice battle by dividing the forces into 2. I've never even thought about this kind of military training. Jinwoo replied, they can't die after all. As they were talking, Baru approached them. Kneeling before Jinwoo, Baru requested permission to test his qualifications for the position of Grand Marshal. Standing face to face with Bellion, Baru declared, as a commander, I challenge Grand Marshal Bellion to a battle. Seeing this, Jinwoo, excited, granted his permission. As the two prepared to face off, The army gathered around to watch. As the battle started, Baru let out a loud shriek, while Belian calmly prepared by bringing out his weapon. Jinwu noted, he also uses a great sword like Ygritte, but he's much bigger than Ygritte. Same with his sword. I assume he leans more toward power than speed. In that case, Baru might have a chance. However, as Baru rushed closer, Belian's sword suddenly unraveled into a whip, striking multiple places at once. Baru narrowly dodged the attacks and found an opening to leap toward Belian. But before he could close the distance, Belian skillfully trapped him within the whip. Seeing this, Jinwu thought, is it already over? To think he neutralized Baru's attack instantly. His reflexes are beyond what I expected. Every single strike from him is powerful enough to destroy the earth beneath him. No wonder he holds the title of Grand Marshal. But still, he shouldn't let his guard down. The greatest strength of an insect is its tenacity. The story then shifted to China, at Beijing International Airport, where Liu Zhigang, along with some other hunters who went to assist Korea during the colossal gate crisis, had landed and were entering the country. Surrounded by the media, they were hailed as proud hunters of China who bravely supported South Korea. As Liu Zhigang was walking away, a reporter approached him and said, although many are applauding Hunter Liu for his courageous choice to support South Korea, there are many who believe there was no reason for us to aid them. What is your opinion on the matter? Hearing that, Liu got annoyed and responded, who is spouting such nonsense? Do those guys have a brain only for decoration? Are they unable to read maps? Do they not realize which country is just above South Korea? If there's anyone stupid enough to say such things, please tell them this. I, Liu Zhigang, was not confident enough that I could stop something if Hunter Sung Jinwu failed to stop it. That's why I went to assist him. If anyone has a problem with that, they can go face the demonic beast themselves. However, as they entered the city, a horrifying scene awaited them. Liu, looking at it in disbelief, said, there's no way, as a gigantic gate loomed ominously over the skies of China. The story shifts to the monarch of Transfiguration, Yogamant, who was reporting to an entity about the recent incidents on Earth, specifically how 3 of the monarchs were eliminated by the Shadow Monarch. Upon hearing that the Shadow Monarch had turned against them, the entity told Yogamant, I will take care of him myself, and instructed the other monarchs not to interfere anymore. From the side, a massive dragon claw appeared, and the entity declared, we must prevent further losses in our forces. The screen filled with the sight of countless dragons as the entity commanded, my soldiers, prepare for battle. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the duel between Baru and Belian was reaching its end. Baru was smashed into the ground, a great sword landing next to his face. Belian stood victorious over Baru. The battlefield grew silent after the fight ended, but Baru, struggling to get back on his feet, said to Jinwu, I can still go on. Seeing this, Jinwu asked, why are you so obsessed with becoming the Grand Marshal? Baru replied earnestly, I shall become the Grand Marshal and always be by your side. Hearing those words, Jinwu smiled and said, then the Grand Marshal can stand on my right, and you can stand on my left. Hearing that, Baru became emotional, saying the king favored him but Jinwu quickly cut him off, telling him, don't. Amused by the scene, Ygritte stepped forward and asked for permission to challenge Belian next, but Jinwu quickly said, you can be behind me. Their attention was drawn to a different commotion as they saw the dragons and Tusk preparing for a show of strength. Suddenly, the dragons unleashed a massive combined fire attack toward the sky, displaying their overwhelming power. However, Tusk simply smirked at the dragon's display. Using the power of the Orb of Avarice, he launched an enormous fire wave into the sky, one so powerful that it easily dwarfed the dragon's combined attack. The fiery spectacle was visible even from far across the ocean, lighting up the entire island. The dragons, now feeling irritated, watched as Tusk flexed his power in front of them, cheered on by the soldiers of Jinwu's army. Watching all of this, Jinwu thought to himself, isn't it kind of cheating to hold the Orb of Avarice during a competition? Noticing some soldiers carrying materials, Jinwu asked Belian what they were doing. Belian replied, they are preparing a small resting area so you can stay comfortably while we are here. Belian then asked why Jinwu hadn't recalled his shadow soldiers back into his shadow. Jinwu answered, I just wanted to let them have some time to relax. They were trapped in the dimensional rift for so long before we came here. Jinwoo then asked Belian if he wasn't saddened by the fact that he could no longer meet Ashbourne, the former Shadow Monarch. Belian responded, I was by his side when he fought against the rulers who opposed the Absolute Being. I even self-proclaimed myself as his first soldier when he obtained the power of the Shadow Monarch. I was with him for almost an eternity, and not once did I doubt his decisions. Moved by Belian's loyalty, Jinwoo said, I want to hear the story of you and Ashbourne. Belian warned him, it may turn into a very long story, but continued saying, it all began when I was still a fruit of the world tree. He explained that all of the soldiers of the heavens are born from the branches of the world tree, appearing first as fruits. The world tree itself was so vast that its branches could cover the entire sky. Fast forward, we see Jinwoo cooking for his family, thinking to himself, I must let people know about the existence of the 8 armies, who could arrive at any moment. I must tell them that a war is approaching, he reflected. I cannot promise the safety of everyone, nor can I guarantee that the world will remain as it has been. That's how immense the power of the King of Dragons was when Jinwoo had witnessed it through Ashbourne's memories. Meanwhile, Gina was praising Jinwoo's cooking, telling their mother, I never knew my brother could cook this well. Watching them enjoy the meal, Jinwoo thought, the King of Dragons and his armies brought everything before them to ruin and ashes. And now such enemies are targeting the earth. That's why everyone must prepare for what's coming. Sensing something was off, his mother asked, is something going on? She explained that whenever his father was about to do something dangerous, he would also cook for her like this. You really take after your father, she said warmly. Jinwoo reassured her, it's nothing like that, and got up to answer the door saying, I think we have a visitor. Gina mentioned that there hadn't been a doorbell sound, but Jinwoo opened the door anyway. Standing outside was Yu Myung-han, Jinho's father. He apologized for visiting without notice and asked if Jinwoo could spare a moment. As they walked together, Yu Myung-han said, I woke up from eternal slumber thinking I was special, but I realized such miracles don't happen easily. Since only your mother and I have ever woken up from an eternal sleep, I couldn't help but suspect that it was you. Turning toward Jinwoo, he asked, why did you help me? Jinwoo replied, because I judged you to be a trustworthy person. If you were someone who would do anything for power, I wouldn't have risked danger to save you. Hearing this, Yu Myung-han said, I don't know how to properly express my gratitude, and offered to return at least half the favor, asking if Jinwoo needed anything. Jinwoo answered, there's nothing I want. However, if something happens to me, could you take care of my mother and sister? Fast forward, we see Wu Jin-cheol showing Jinwoo footage of a colossal gate that appeared over Shanghai, China. He explained, it's not just China. 8 more colossal gates have appeared all around the world. He asked if those were also Jinwoo's soldiers, but Jinwoo shook his head. No, they're our enemies, he said. Then Jinwoo asked Wu Jin-cheol if he trusted him. Without hesitation, Wu Jin-cheol answered, yes, I do. Jinwoo stood up and said, please trust what I am about to show you. He placed a finger on the chairman's forehead, transferring memories of the Dragon Monarch and the armies of the rulers directly into Wu Jin-cheol's mind. Overwhelmed, Wu Jin-cheol saw the history of the wars, the dungeons, and the terrifying power Jinwoo had faced. After Jinwoo removed his finger, Wu Jin-cheol gasped, panicked, impossible. How could such things exist? He confessed, I always believed the power of hunters was a blessing for humanity. I thought we needed to fight demonic beasts to protect people. But if what you showed me is true, then my beliefs were nothing but arrogance. He realized, I misunderstood everything. The awakened ones. They aren't just protectors. They are the ones able to survive the true war. It wasn't a simple war between humans and beasts. It was a war between monarchs and rulers, 2 forces possessing overwhelming power. Turning to Jinwoo with sweat forming on his brow, he asked, are you planning to fight against such enemies alone? Jinwoo calmly answered, yes, I am. With a desperate look, Wu Jin-cheol asked, how can we be of assistance to you? Fast forward, we see a hall filled with hunters from around the world. Wu Jin-cheol asked a man if any more hunters were coming. He told, no, sir. Only the 152 countries I reported to you this morning. The man asked him, just what did Hunter Sung Jinwoo tell you yesterday in the office? I've never seen your face become that pale. Wu Jinqiu thinks back. An army of dragons appearing from within the darkness, and the single dragon flying behind the army. A majesty so overwhelming that even if every hunter in the world gathered to face it, they wouldn't be able to leave a scratch. The pressure from its power, enough to burn down all the lands in the world with a single breath, was something he could feel. Wu wonders, just how is Hunter Sung Jinwu planning on fighting against them? He calls Jinwu, saying, "I've gathered the representatives from every country, as you asked. Where are you right now?" As he was still on the call, Jinwu appeared behind him, saying, "I've just arrived," and Wu puts away his phone, muttering, "I guess asking for your location is meaningless now." Wu warns Jinwu that there will be chaos when people find out about this, and that some countries won't be able to handle it. Jinwu replies, "I'm aware of that." Wu, still concerned about the consequences, says, "If that's really what you think, the truth will be uncovered to the world." Meanwhile, director David Brennan sits in a conference room thinking about how many important figures have gathered. Presidents, prime ministers, guild masters, and even the chairman of associations. Everyone must be feeling nervous about what Hunter Sung Jinwu is about to tell them. It would be great if Hunter Jinwu said the gates won't cause much harm, like last time, Brennan thinks. But if he says the opposite, everyone will have to go through a rough time. After some time, Jinwu begins to speak. He tells the gathered officials that no one will be able to avoid the coming fight. They will appear before everyone's eyes, bringing destruction upon the world. Some people do not believe what Jinwu says. They ask if he's claiming that even national-level hunters won't be enough. Jinwu answers that at least a couple hundred demonic beasts, each one on par with Kamish, the greatest disaster in human history, will appear. Not even national-level hunters would be able to stop them. The crowd demands proof, saying otherwise they cannot believe what he's saying. In response, Jinwu raises his hand, and everyone is horrified at the sight. Multiple gates appear behind him. The officials panic, thinking Jinwu has the ability to create multiple gates at once. But Jinwu explains, "Our enemy can create gates whenever and wherever they wish, just like how I did. They're only taking their time because of the massive size of their army." A man sitting next to Director Brennan shouts, "Could it be that you're one of them? And the soldiers you brought from the previous gate? Did you bring them to kill us?" But the very next second, shivering, he corrects himself. "Of course I trust you, Hunter Sung Jinwu." Director Brennan asks Jinwu, "Now that we know what will come from the gate, what do we need to do?" Jinwu replies, "Please stay away from the gates. Get as far away as you can." Fast forward, we see the empty cities after the warning that Jinwu gave at the conference, as his speech created a massive ripple effect, warning that humanity would not be able to handle the number of demonic beasts that would come from the gates. Everyone tried their best to get as far away from the gates as possible. We see Jinwu discussing the upcoming war with Igris. Igris tells Jinwu that they don't stand a chance in an all-out war. On the ground, we see Baru and Belian, as Jinwu asks Belian how much bigger he thinks the enemy army will be compared to theirs. Belian replies that he expects their numbers to be at least 100 times larger. Hearing that, Jinwu realizes they could be facing at least 10 million soldiers. The story shifts to Canada, where their S-rank hunter, Jay Mills, is being interviewed. Jay claims he does not believe a single word that Hunter Sung Jinwu said at the gathering of world leaders. The interviewer points out that Hunter Sung Jinwu is one of the greatest hunters in the world, and asks if it wouldn't be wise to heed his warning. Jay responds that no matter how great Jinwu is, not everything he says should be taken as truth. The story then shifts back to Jinwu, where he calls Beru and asks him to land. Beru obeys, and Jinwu looks around, questioning if this place is really meant for him to live in, given its size and overwhelming atmosphere. Beru replies that he thought anything less wouldn't be fitting for Jinwu, his liege. Looking at the huge castle, Jinwu notices a flag and asks why it was put up. Belian falls to the ground, and Jinwu asks if it was his idea. Jinwu then questions what would happen to the Shadow Army if the Shadow Monarch were to die, if Belian would take over. Belian explains that their lives are tied to the Shadow Monarch, and the moment Jinwu dies would also be the moment they all perish. Later, Wu Jinchul shows Jinwu the interview of Hunter J. Mills, where Jay dismisses Jinwu's warnings, saying they will fight the monsters coming from the gates. Wu explains that hunters have been gathering in Canada with Jay Mills as their leader. Additionally, strong hunters from other countries have been preparing for a major raid as well. Wu then asks Jinwu what he plans to do. Jinwu says he will head to China to assist them with a dungeon break. In his thoughts, Jinwu acknowledges that it's impossible for him to face all 8 monarch armies at once. So he decides to eliminate the closest threat to Korea first to protect his family. Afterward, he will focus on taking care of the other monarchs. The longer the battle goes on, the higher the chances for Jinwu and humanity to win the war. Fast forward, we see Jinwu landing in China, where he is greeted by Hunter Liu Zhigang. Jinwu asks why he was there instead of government officials. Liu explains that they were busy preparing some foolish ceremonial placards, so he decided to personally welcome Jinwu. As they start walking, Jinwu notices that the gate is so massive that it's visible even from the airport. When they arrive at the location, Liu shows Jinwu the team that is gathered under the gate to assist with the raid. He proudly declares that this is China's army of 100,000 hunters. Seeing the massive force, Jinwu thinks to himself that with this many, they might actually have a chance in this war. Liu explains that it's not just a matter of numbers. These are China's elites, skilled individuals gathered from across the nation. After the preparations are completed, Liu informs Jinwu that the raid would soon begin. Jinwu then starts summoning his shadow army. Seeing the overwhelming number of summons, Liu is left speechless, realizing Jinwu is operating on a completely different level. Liu asks if all of these are Jinwu's summons. At that moment, Baru steps forward and warns Liu, saying, "The left side of the king belongs to me. Who dares to take my place beside the king?" Jinwu quickly reassures Baru, saying Liu is an ally. As they are speaking, the gate begins to crack. Jinwu prepares for monsters to pour out from the sky. But nothing happens. Belian approaches Jinwu, reporting that he senses no presence from the gate. Realizing something is wrong, Jinwu asks Belian about the other gates around the world. Belian answers that, according to the reports from the other shadow soldiers, all the gates seem the same. Empty. Jinwu quickly deduces the truth. The enemies had created multiple gates worldwide to divide humanity's forces. But in reality, they had concentrated all their army into a single gate, the one farthest from Jinwu's location. The story shifts to Canada, where many hunters have gathered to defend against the expected monster outbreak. At the front stands Jay Mills, scoffing at the idea that everyone is placing their hopes solely on Jinwu. Nearby, a crowd of protesters shouts, "We will not give up Canada. Our hunters will protect us and our land." Suddenly, the gate in Canada begins to break open. But again, no monsters emerge. Confused, the hunters stand their ground, waiting. Some whisper that perhaps Jinwu was bluffing about the threat. Then, a humanoid figure slowly appears from the gate, hovering above them. At first, the hunters think it's just an ordinary human. The figure lands in front of Jay Mills and asks if he is their king. While Mills is confused, another hunter explains that demonic beasts are capable of crafting their own gear, using runic symbols, and living within a strict hierarchy, meaning they possess intelligence comparable to humans. They had simply chosen not to communicate with humanity until now. Hearing this, Jay Mills smirks, thinking that this must have been how Jinwu managed to subjugate the monsters from the previous gate, by communicating with them. Mills, feeling confident, asks the entity, "What if I am the king?" However, the entity ignores him and mutters, "Looks like he's not here." 10 minutes earlier, back in China, we see Jinwu asking the officials if there was no way to confirm what was happening in Canada. One of the officials tells him he will try something. Jinwu then calls Adam White of the Hunters Bureau and asks what is going on with Canada's colossal gate. But as he hears the noise of the crowd in the background, Jinwu realizes that Adam White is actually at the site in Canada. Jinwu asks him what he is doing there, and White explains that they are on site at Canada's colossal gate, along with other Bureau agents. Jinwu asks for the reason they had to be there, and White answers saying, "We couldn't just sit and watch the situation in Canada unfold. Many of our agents, including myself, were dispatched here." Hearing that, Jinwu thinks to himself that they still don't realize the true scale of the enemy's army. He then asks about the current condition of the gate. Adam White tells him that the gate is empty, just like the other colossal gates that had appeared before. It was very quiet on site, and Jinwoo lets out a sigh of relief. However, White suddenly reports that something was emerging from the gate. A person. Hearing this, Jinwoo's eyes widen in shock. He shouts, telling White to run away from there as far as possible. But it was too late. In an instant, with a flash of light, all the hunters stationed in the front were turned to ash. Jinwoo urgently tells Adam that he still has time and must run away while he still can. But Adam White, stunned, reports that dragons are descending from the sky. An endless number of dragons and beasts begin pouring out of the gate. Adam says in disbelief, "How could this be? All kinds of demonic beasts have gathered in one place." Jinwoo thinks to himself that now it has come to this. He must save White. Because he had planted a shadow on Adam White beforehand, Jinwoo plans to use it to teleport him away. Just as he decides to act, a high orc appears in front of Adam White. Jinwoo quickly tells him that he's going to teleport him out of there. Before Jinwoo could teleport Adam White away, an entity approached White asking, "Where do you think you're going?" Seeing the entity, White was frozen in terror, and with a shaky voice, he called out Jinwoo's name. In his final moments, he saw a fireball hurtling straight toward him. Meanwhile, Jinwoo, after hearing the loud blast, realized he was too late. He thought to himself, "I should have expected this. They know they are facing my shadow army, which only grows stronger the longer the battle drags on. Of course, my opponent would aim to minimize battles by concentrating their entire force in a single location," Jinwoo reflected. They had opened 8 colossal gates, following their original plan. In the end, they sent their entire army through the gate farthest from Jinwoo's position. Even if I moved there immediately, it would turn into an all-out war, Jinwoo thought bitterly. His plan to buy time had completely fallen apart. Back in Canada, Antries, the king of dragons and the monarch of destruction, stood smirking. He savored the moment, saying, "The sound of living beings' heartbeats, their screams and the destruction of creatures. It all resonates like music in my ears." He told the other monarchs that preparations were complete and then ordered the army to destroy everything, declaring, "That is the sole mission of our existence." Fast forward, we see a man in his office watching the live footage of the devastation caused by the monarch's army. He muttered, "They must have all died. The hunters, agents, even the reporters on the scene." This man was director David Brennan. He watched with dread as hundreds of dragons, along with oceans of giants, beasts, and insects, advanced behind Antares. This disaster cannot be contained by humans. It's over. There's no way to stop such an army, he thought grimly. It was only a matter of time before they reached the United States. He finally understood why Hunter Jinwoo had advised everyone to stay as far away from the gates as possible. As David Brennan processed the situation, a shadow suddenly appeared in front of him. It was Jinwoo. Jinwoo, clearly in a hurry, told the director, "I'm paying you a sudden visit because I'm looking for something." He asked for the rune stone extracted from the corpse of Kamish, the greatest dragon ever killed by humanity. The director was shocked but quickly composed himself. He explained that the rune stone was managed by the Hunter Bureau. However, remembering the dire circumstances, he apologized, saying, "I'm still a little drunk right now," while internally thinking, "What am I even saying? Why does the Hunter Bureau even matter anymore? Rune stones mean nothing if the entire U.S. is about to be destroyed, let alone the Bureau itself." He told Jinwoo, "I can hand over the runestone, but why do you need it?" Jinwoo explained that he was planning to launch a counterattack using the power stored in the runestone. As they made their way toward the vault containing Kamish's runestone, the director asked, "If beings called rulers sent those demonic beasts here, then what exactly are the runestones found inside the beasts' bodies?" Jinwoo explained that the runestones were gifts from the rulers intended to help humans hunt down demonic beasts more efficiently. When a demonic beast died, part of its abilities would be sealed inside a runestone. The rulers had created runestones so that humans could grow stronger, giving them a chance of survival in the final battle against the monarch's armies. Hearing this, David Brennan asked Jinwoo, "Are you really going to be able to stop them with just this?" Jinwoo simply responded, "I'll have to try." After obtaining the runestone, Jinwoo then asked the director for one more favor. Then we see Lady Selner, who says, "I never thought someone would come looking for me at a time like this." She asked Jinwoo for his identity, saying, "You are not the person I know." In the past, the darkness existed deep inside him, but now he is darkness itself. Jinwoo tells her, "I'm the same person you know, but I simply became one with the darkness you saw back then." He asks her if she can truly see the future and requests her to look into his future. She replies, "I understand," and takes his hand. After a moment, tears start to fall from her eyes and she asks, "You really plan to take everything on by yourself? How could a single human carry this much alone? Are you planning on protecting everything by sacrificing yourself?" Hearing that, Jinwoo gets up, saying, "Thankfully, that means I can get there at least." Lady Selner tells him, "No one will be able to remember. It will be a lonely fight by yourself." But Jinwoo starts to teleport away. We then see Jinwoo standing on top of a tall building. He takes out his phone and calls someone. The person asks if it is really him. Jinwoo apologizes, saying, "I've been busy lately." It was Hunter Cha Hai-in, who replies, "It's okay. I've been busy as well." Jinwoo tells her they haven't seen each other in a long time and that they will meet soon. Cha asks Jinwoo to promise her that he will come and see her. Jinwoo replies, "I promise I will." She smiles after hearing that. As she's thinking about it, Hunter Choi Jong-in startles her by saying, "We should get going now." We see all the hunters from around the world gathered together. The Asian Hunter Alliance, the European Hunter Alliance, the African Temporary Guild Union, and the Chinese Emergency Response Alliance. Hundreds of thousands of hunters are on their way to the battlefield. The story shifts back to Canada, where Antares, the monarch of destruction, stands atop countless bodies of fallen hunters. He unleashes a massive mana wave for Jinwoo to sense his location, declaring, "I'm right here." The mana wave is so powerful that it is felt around the entire world and reaches Jinwoo. Antares says, "I've already taken the lives of tens of millions of your kind. How much longer are you planning to hide?" Jinwoo answers, "I will come and meet you soon." The season finale ends here. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed yet, please consider subscribing. Thanks again for your support, and I'll see you next time.